What is up, guys? Welcome back to another video on the YZ125. I just picked it up yesterday. It does have like a sticky float, so it does leak a little bit of gas after you run it for a while. Last video, we cleaned out the front forks. Those things are nice and crispy now, so that's not an issue anymore. This video, we're gonna tear the bike down. We have to take off the subframe and all that good stuff. Get to the carburetor, clean out the carb, and I don't really need to clean it. It starts first kick every time. Just clean out the float, make sure everything's good in there. And then, yeah, next video after that should be chain and sprockets, then the pipe, and this bike is pretty much finished. So yeah, stay tuned. Alrighty guys, so I only had to take apart half the dirt bike. Here's all the parts, just to get to the carburetor. I think if I set the camera up right about there, that should be good. And I'll show you guys how I clean out carbs. I'll get this over. Alright, so step one, there's gonna be 3 bolts for the float bowl. As you can see right there. And if a little bit of gas leaks out, no biggie. You're just gonna make sure you don't strip any of the bolts. Been there, done that. Not fun. Just push in. Man, that thing is in there. There we go. Did hear my elbow pop. It was in there. There, I got that one too. Alright. So, from here, you're just gonna want to take all the bolts out. Jets and everything in this carb should be clean, but I'm gonna still go through and hit them all with some carbon choke. Alright, so there we go. That's the inside of your carburetor. Here, this is the float bowl. Here is this little thingamajigger. Not sure what that's called. Here is your pilot jet, here's your main jet, and that right there is your float. Right here, whenever gas comes up, since this has air inside, it'll naturally come up, and when it's up, it closes your, as you can see, it triggers a valve in there. I don't know if you can see, I think it's this right there. It triggers the valve and it shuts it closed, and whenever you run out of gas or you're going lower on gas, it goes down, open up the valve, puts more gas, and then it shuts it off. So that's basically what the carb does. Everything here looks decently clean. Let me see if I can crack open some of these jets. This right here is the main jet. I'm not sure if you can see it, but this one should have a big hole. And yes, this one has a big hole. Let me get a flathead right here. Crack off the pilot jet. There we go. And this is your pilot jet. The hole is a lot smaller. And this one's actually not. All right, there we go. Now I can see through it. Still gonna hit her with some carbon choke. Running kind of low on it. All right, there we go. She's clean now. Now onto the float. I'm not sure what part of it is sticky, but you can see around it. It is a little bit dirty. So I'm not sure. I might just lift the float level just a bit. If you want to adjust the float, I had somebody comment on one of my videos. Right here you've got the float. If I can get this good. And right here there's a pin, and you can see that there's a needle valve around it. If you're leaking gas, you're going to want to push the pin down towards the main part of the carb, which is here. So you're going to want to push it down. If you're not getting enough gas, you're going to want to open it up a little. So you're going to want to pull it up a little. So yeah, hopefully that made sense. Probably didn't. But yeah, I'm going to push it down a little bit just because I am getting a little bit too much gas. All right, so for some bikes, you can just push it right out. This bike, there's a screw right here. Pull out the screw, which then will pick up your whole entire float, and that right there is your needle. You know, make sure you guys can see that. To get out the needle, you just push it out. And there, so you got your needle there. This right here is your float pin that goes into the float like that. And this, oh, I'll drop it. That right here is your float, and the float usually sits like that. So I'm gonna wanna push this needle in closer towards All right, so I just got some needle nose pliers, and I was able to grab it right up here and just kind of push it down. So now it's kind of flush with that. We're gonna see if that works. To put it all back together, you're gonna want to clean it up a little. Some carbon choke. Clean off the gasket area. Use the whole can of carbon choke on my last project, but here, to put it back together, you're gonna want to get your float, get your needle, put the needle in the float. Nice, dropped it. All right, I need to make sure you guys can see this. All right, so you're just going to put the needle in through the float pin right over there. And then you got your float pin right there. You got that right in the middle. You get your main part of the carb. And you make sure the needle doesn't fall out. But your main goal is just to get the needle back in where it came from, which is this the main hole. Let me focus on this. All right, there we go. Your locking screw. Some bikes don't have this, some bikes have it. So if your bike doesn't have it, don't worry about it. It's not gonna fall out. It's usually held in with the float bowl. But for this one, just get a Phillips head and you crank her down. And now you can see, nice and smooth. Don't want to make it too tight so that you can still move it around. But yeah. All right, so now once you got that, get your main jet right here. And you don't want to over torque these in there. You're just gonna want to get them nice and tight, because I've had times where main jets or pilot jets have fallen out, and either your bike will idle perfectly fine, and once you give her gas, she will completely die, or your bike won't idle, but only run on gas. So, yeah, those are your two different possibilities. Let's just make sure they're nice and snug. All right. After that, that should work nice and smooth. Let me find this. I'm not sure what this is. If you know what it is, comment down. I think it's some, it's like a jet bowl or something. Then you get your float bowl. You're gonna want to inspect your gasket all around it. Make sure it's still intact. Make sure it's not all crusty. This bike's fairly new, so I don't think it's crusty. Put it back together, and I think we gotta throw it on the same way. I don't think that side had anything on there. Other two sides had little openings for the little thingamajiggers. Don't make them too tight. You want to have the gasket surface nice and even. Let me get this one. And you get your last one right here. Drop her in. Make sure you guys can see it. All carbs should be fairly simple or similar to this. Don't over tighten it, just in case you do need to go back into it and change out something. You don't want to have to strip the bolts and then drill them out or whatnot. So now once we got this, it's time to put the bike back together. Make sure you hit all the good stuff. And that's the slide right there. Make sure you hit that. And now you just put all your nice long tubes back in where it came from. I took a picture of mine right before I did it, so I know where they come from. Now let's put the bike back together. Alrighty guys, hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please like and subscribe. Let me know what other things I should do to this 125, and peace.